welcome to The Edge. I have Nola Theis, who is a very interesting individual who's been working on human trafficking, a very controversial situation and subject. Nola, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, I'm Nola Theis. I'm the Executive Director of Human Trafficking Awareness Partnerships, and our mission is to educate and bring this issue of human trafficking to the forefront of public consciousness. Its neighbors and citizens, as well as law enforcement and service providers, the professionals who will be the ones to recognize slavery in our society and do something about it, take care of the victims, prosecute the traffickers.
Nola, do you want to give us your little resume on yourself, your little background? And
yeah.
tell me mention a little bit about your Bill Clinton experience. Well, the award.
Oh, the award. Okay, good. That was a little frightening thought.
Well, I wasn't thinking of Monica.
I have done a lot of different things in my life, including having been a teacher and a businesswoman, and then I moved to Sanibel about 14 years ago, and in a relatively short time got elected to city council and then became the mayor.
You were the mayor of Sanibel?
I was the mayor of Sanibel. And I
realized
for 2 years.
2 years.
I realized at the time that elected officials don't know very much about how to run government, so I went back and got a master's degree in public administration. And through a women's organization, an international women's organization, I learned about human trafficking, became interested in it, and helped form a task force in Lee County, a human trafficking task force, which has been funded by the Department of Justice. I was a leader of it, and I'm currently the coordinator through Florida Gulf Coast University. So I do a lot of work in Southwest Florida on bringing this issue bringing it out front, and also helping communities organize themselves, as we did in Lee County, to fight this crime, because it really does take collaboration among citizen groups and communities.
What is this award that you received?
The recognition I received is called the Purpose Prize, and it's
what's that about?
It's an award that's given to people who, in their retirement, though I never noticed that I retired, but I'm of the age of retirement, decide to do something with the skills they've acquired in their life and become, in a sense, social entrepreneurs. And so there were 50 people recognized nationally by the Civic Ventures Foundation as fellows, and then 15 people who were recognized and received monetary awards. And it allowed me to go to California for a few days in December to meet all of these interesting people, and a lot of leaders from the past and the present, to learn about how we can be more effective in what we're doing. It's been a really remarkable experience, and it's wanted me to get more people in my position in life involved in this effort and in other worthy causes.
Well, the issue is a really difficult one. I listened to you. I think you were on WGCU
right.
some months ago, and being interviewed, and I was struck by what you had to say and by the whole issue and what's at stake in all of this. We had many years ago under Lincoln the Emancipation Proclamation. Obviously that's not held up too well in this situation. We've got people still being thrust into work camps that are enclosed with barbed wire pointing inward, and the rings are being broken up because of the farmers misusing, a lot of the time, foreign workers. But we're going to focus on the sexual aspect of human trafficking, because that's actually more complicated. As the more I talk to people about it, the more complicated it seems to become. There's no real problem in this United States, as I hear it, in the minds of the public. Well, it's about work, or is it about sex? There's no difference between brothels or groups of people, children or adults, It's all brothels, they're all prostitutes, they're all whores, they're all of the names you can lay onto people. Yet many of them, the average age, as you indicated in some of these rings, is 11 to 15 years old. How does that work?
Well, the main thing that happened with the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution is that it made slavery illegal. That meant that now when we think about slaves, we have the image of people literally shackled walking down the street owned by someone, and it's all very overt. It was very overt. Today, slavery is hidden and it's beneath the surface. It's not understood or recognized by the average person. The traffickers who deal with these victims, and we call it human trafficking because we're equating it to drug trafficking or arms trafficking, the use of a commodity, an illegal commodity, to make a lot of funding.
So a person now is a commodity.
A person is a commodity. And unlike drugs or arms, they can be sold over and over and over again.
Well, we all know these prostitutes all enjoy what they're doing.
Well, that is one of those myths. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which was passed in 2000, clearly states that any person under the age of 18 who's involved in commercial sex is a victim of human trafficking. It's unlikely.
Let me interrupt you. Isn't that also rape?
Yes, it is.
The law?
Absolutely. And that's really the irony about this. If a child becomes involved in prostitution for whatever reason, and involuntarily, but the law says that there's no such thing as voluntarily becoming a prostitute. One can become prostituted through a number of forces, and really there are three ways that happens. One is force. Somebody literally threatens their life if they don't do what they're told to do. One is fraud. They're tricked by a person, it can be a man or a woman, into believing that they're taking some other job or that the person loves them and cares for them, and so they have to do what they tell them to do, and it's a gradual process, and they end up becoming involved in prostitution. I never refer to them as prostitutes because that implies that what they do is who they are.
Isn't that true? You are what you do?
Becoming prostituted means that
coerced.
You have been coerced, and coercion doesn't have to be physical coercion. It can be psychological coercion. If you are a child in Florida and you have been tricked by some older guy in a mall into believing that he's your boyfriend, that he loves you, that your situation at home is untenable, and you've run away with him at the age of 12, you can, at that point, be slowly enticed into doing things like waitressing at a sex club, and then dancing at a sex club, and then becoming prostituted, because the man says, you're my girl, you have to do what I want you to do.
So it goes from boyfriending or befriending through boyfriending to compromise to servitude.
Absolutely. And
servitude, for the audience that doesn't know servitude, is you pay for your existence, essentially.
Right.
Now, how does that work?
Well, if you are, let's go through those three things. The force part could be simply that you are kidnapped, and there have been stories of girls who are literally kidnapped out of their driveway. Another girl from their class that they're friends with has been tricked by some man, and he will say, let's go over there. She has already been forced into doing things she doesn't want to do. They go over to their friend's house. They arrange to meet the friend in the driveway. They say, come on, get in the back seat. We're going to go to a party. She gets in the back seat, and that's the last the mother sees of her.
So she's a milk carton kid.
She's a milk carton kid. That's one way. Another way is through fraud. And we had a case in Florida recently where a young girl was befriended by another girl, the new girl in high school. And after a while, the girl kept saying, come to my house for a sleepover. My father has a business cleaning condos, and sleepover Friday night, Saturday